everybody, and welcome to Burundara Library Service Mapping Your World craft session. My name is Claire and we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we learn and play. And when I was thinking about our acknowledgement to country, I wondered, how did our First Nations people map their world? And so I found an article by PhD student Robert Fuller from the University of New South Wales, who found out from his research that they used the stars and landmarks, and they created quite extensive trade routes through inland Australia, and they conveyed this information to other people through the use of songs, and that's what's known as songlines. And what's really fascinating is when you lay the songlines over existing maps, there's not that much difference. And you think, how did that happen? Well, really easily, as it happens, because the European explorers hired Indigenous guides to guide them across inland Australia when they were discovering all the various features of our great country. So I found that really interesting. So today we're going to map our world, and by that I mean the things that are important to us. There's lots of ways you can make a map. Today, you're going to map your world. There are many ways you could map your world: by drawing, which is what I'm going to show you, or Lego, or if you were like artist Charlotte Basson, you could use fruit and veg, flowers, or butterflies. There are many types of maps, but the map today that we're going to be doing is pictorial map. Now, a pictorial map that you might be familiar with is the Wet and Wild map at the Gold Coast. This map uses map references to help you find the best water slides. On the left-hand side of the map are numbers, and at the bottom of the map are letters. In the key down the bottom, you will see a column called Map with a letter and a number. Now, imagine that the map is covered with squares. If you wanted to find the jet stream slide, which is at K8, move your right finger up from K and your left finger right from 8, and they will meet in the square where the jet stream slide is. A very famous pictorial map that you might be familiar with is Christopher Robin's map of the 100-acre wood from the Winnie the Pooh stories. It is hand-drawn, not to scale, and lists only the things that are important to Christopher Robin. This is the type of map we are going to draw today. Now, I'm going to draw what my world was like when I was about your age. I lived on a farm, so it will look a bit different to your map. I'm going to draw the farm where I grew up. The first thing I need to draw is the house that I lived in. So I'm just going to draw a very simple box with the roof here. And we had 4 windows. I'm just going to use the pencil here just so that the windows are all the same size. And they were rectangular. And at the front of my house was a trampoline. It had an orange mat. We had, because it was very hot, and we were very lucky, a pool. So the important thing next to my house was the stables. So I'll quickly draw the stables with the horses. And there were 3 horses. And their names were Kelly and Winky, and a little horse that belonged to my sister and my brother. His name was Christmas. And there she is there. And you could colour those in brown if you liked. Just to indicate the colour. And then on the road from my house, it's a dirt road because we're on a farm, we went past the cattle yards. I'll quickly just draw some cattle yards for you. And we went up to my grandpa's house because he lived on the same farm as us. And his house looked a little bit different to ours. So I will just draw that in here. He had a screened front veranda, which me and my cousins loved playing on. So I'll just draw the screen in here. And there was a window here. Now, you might be asking, what sort of things did we have on our farm? Well, we grew crops, and we grew wheat and oats and barley, and we put them in the silos. So I'll just draw the silos that were up behind the cattle yards there. That's where we stored all the grain. They looked a bit like rockets. And we had all sorts of animals. So what I've done is I've got a really long strip of green paper, and I have stuck down pictures of animals that I have found in newspapers and magazines. And what I've done, you might notice, I have cut 2 slits here in my paper, and I take my strip of paper and I put them through the slits like this, laying everything out nice and flat. And put it through here. And on my farm we had a goat, we had lots of sheep that were rounded up, oops, I got just his horns stuck there, by the Kelpie sheepdog. And we also had Hereford cattle. They're a lovely colour, Hereford cattle. And once we even had some pigs. You're not going to believe this, we actually had 3 little pigs. And we always had some chooks for the eggs. And around the house we had a cat called Ginge, because he was a ginger cat, and a kookaburra in the old gum tree. And so that's the animals on my farm. We used to drive up the road past my grandpa's house and catch the school bus to school. And I have made another strip of paper here, and there's the road to school. Now, you might say that's a funny looking road because it's brown. Well, that's because I lived on a farm and all the roads around us were dirt roads. Now, of course, I have to draw the school bus. So I'm just going to draw the school bus here. Around like that. All the things. Oops. And there is the bus driver. His name was Reg. He was a really lovely man, Reg. And here are the windows with all the school children on the inside. And of course, we need the wheels on the bus. You know all about those. And another wheel here. And then I'll just finish drawing in the road there. And it was a yellow bus that I caught to school every day with all the other children. Now, again, you will see I've cut some slits here. Cut this one very badly. You'll do a much better job than me, I'm sure. And I put through my road like that. And what I can do is that I can continue my road up here, up to where Joanne and Peter lived. few more trees in. Okay. And as we stood waiting for the bus, put the road up here. We waited, and then along came our yellow bus. And we got on it and went to school. So here we are at my school. And I'll just draw, it had a brick wall in the front. So I'm just going to draw my bricks. Of course, had a big sign on it saying school. And it had trees. And we had a huge playground. My gosh, you would be amazed how big it was. Because we're in the country, we had lots of land. And there was a big playground right in the middle. I'm drawing it here. And guess what? Yes, it was made of dirt too. And we used to play lots of games on there, like British Bulldog and soccer and softball. But there were lots of trees and a bit of grass around where we made cubby houses. And some kids put on plays. And then into town. Now in town, of course, the roads weren't dirt. Okay, we crossed over a creek. Our school was built on the other side of the creek from the town, and there was a creek there. Now, a lot of times, it was very dry there. There wasn't that much water in it. In fact, the town kids walked through the creek rather than over the bridge to get to school. And it had a very funny name. It was called the Humbug Creek. And there was a train line through town. And like a lot of other towns, there were shops. I'm just drawing them like this. But most importantly over here, because it was very hot, was the pool. And down here were the very big silos where all the farmers would bring their wheat, oats and barley at harvest time. And then they got put on the trains and sent away. So that, and then after school, of course, we got back on the bus and we drove home. And that was my world. What does your world look like? So thanks everybody for joining us for this great session, Mapping Your World. And if you do a really great map, why don't you post it on Instagram with the hashtag of Boroondara Library Kids. And I can see what your world looks like. And I hope to see you in the library really soon. Bye.